The Prophecies Begin, number 2, is an adaptation of the Warrior Cats books 3 and 4, and there's a lot of book 2 thrown in as well. Here's a general list of the way the chapters are ordered in this graphic novel. As you can see, the story jumps around a lot. I apologize in advance if this is a confusing video. We start with the prologue of book 3, which is shortened by a page, because Greypool argues less about raising the kits, and some of the narration is changed to dialogue. Book 3, chapters 1 through 3, are completely removed. In their place we get Book 2, chapters 16 through 18. Fireheart gets catnip is changed to Fireheart gets catmint. Fireheart fights with 2 rogues near the catmint. He doesn't meet any other cats in the original. The scene where Bluestar loses a life is moved up by a chapter, so it occurs before Cinderpaw's injury. Fireheart suspects Tigerclaw set a death trap after he talks with Yellowfang. In the book, this happens after he talks with Princess. Then we get Book 3, chapters 4 through 6, which are all combined. That is, Fireheart talks to Mistyfoot and Greypool during a single trip to RiverClan. In the book, he takes 2 separate trips to RiverClan. Since there is no second trip, they remove the Stonefur stuff, which prompts the second trip. They remove all the preparation for the second trip, a clan meeting where 2 kittens are made apprentices, and all discussion of the cats having to disguise their scents with dung. The scene where Yellowfang tests Cinderpaw on types of herbs happens after the RiverClan trip. In the book, it happens before. The graphic novel jumps to Book 2, Chapter 19. Fireheart and Sandpaw have a lovey-dovey play fight. That's changed to them becoming friends on a patrol. They remove Greystripe and Fireheart getting into a physical fight. They remove the scene of Fireheart finding a queen to nurse Cloudkit, and they move up the scene of Whitestorm defending Fireheart in front of the others. They remove Bluestar's refusal to give Cloudkit a naming ceremony. They add a 2-page fight between Greystripe and Fireheart. Back to Book 3, Chapter 6. The conversation with Bluestar about Oakheart is moved from Bluestar's den to when the cats are out hunting. Back to Book 2, we skip chapters 22 through 24, which feature a clan gathering. When addressing the entire clan, Fireheart gives orders to Brackenpaw. In the book, he gives Brackenpaw orders before addressing the clan. Brokenstar has 3 allies. In the book, he has 4. They remove all discussion of the fact that Clawface killed Spottedleaf. Greystripe and Fireheart have a friendly talk during the battle. In the book, this scene happens several pages later, which makes more sense. The middle of a battle is not a good time to have a chat. They remove the scene where Brokentail realizes he is blind. They remove a page of discussion of whether or not they'll keep Brokentail as a hostage. Bluestar decides to take Brokentail as a hostage. That is the end of Graphic Novel Part 1. Book 2 goes on for 3 more chapters after that scene. Then we jump to The Gathering, where everybody discusses Brokentail. That's Book 3, Chapter 18. I'm surprised it took over 20 chapters for other cats to find out about Brokentail. They remove a confrontation with Nightstar before The Gathering. They remove a confrontation with Nightstar after The Gathering. The Gathering ends when clouds cover up the moon. That scene is taken from Book 2, Chapter 24. In the book, ShadowClan and WindClan attack ThunderClan the day after the Gathering. The graphic novel delays this attack for 30 pages, as the story goes back to Book 3, Chapter 10. Bluestar insists on checking the river. In the book, Tigerclaw insists on it. They add a page of Cloudkit in the den, practicing his warrior stance. They remove the part where Bluestar tells the entire clan about the flooded river, as well as the following scene where Greystripe plans to check the river because he's worried about Silverstream. They remove most of Chapter 13, except for the announcement that Greystripe and Silverstream are having kittens. Greystripe announces the pregnancy to Fireheart. In the book, Silverstream announces the pregnancy to Greystripe and Fireheart at the same time. The graphic novel jumps ahead 10 chapters to Chapter 23, where Bluestar confesses the truth about her kittens. They remove chapters 14 through 16, where Fireheart and Greystripe are punished. They remove Tigerclaw's attempt to kill Fireheart and make it look like an accident, which is chapters 16 and 17. Blue Star talks about the kits in the river before she talks about her own kits. In the book, she talks about Gray Stripe's kits before talking about her own kits. And then we jump from chapter 23 back to chapter 7. They remove the first part of the chapter, where Cloud Kit learns he was born among humans. At the start of the graphic novel, and here, there's a 3-page subplot about Cinderpaw becoming a medicine cat. It's clear that she makes the decision on her own. In the book, she doesn't decide to become a medicine cat until Yellowfang asks her to do it. Cinderpaw makes her decision during the Deathberry scene. In the book, she makes the decision 10 chapters later in chapter 17. They remove chapters 8 through 10, where Cloud Kit is attacked by a badger. They skip to chapter 15, where Tiger Claw is friendly with Broken Tail. In the book, the two of them share tongues together. They skip to the battle in chapter 20. After the battle, the book has a scene where Tiger Claw is mean to Graystripe. The graphic novel changes this to a fight between Graystripe and Fireheart. They remove the scene of Brackenpaw being made a warrior. They add a scene of Fireheart delivering food to Mistyfoot. Fireheart is with Tiger Claw and Cloud Kit when Graystripe interrupts with the news that Silverstream is giving birth. In the book, Fireheart is alone during this scene. Tiger Claw shows up not long after, and Cloud Kit isn't there at all because really, why would he be here? After Silverstream dies, the graphic novel skips ahead 3 chapters to when Blue Star makes a clan announcement. This skips a chapter of finding someone to nurse the kits, 2 chapters of talking to Blue Star, and a scene where Graystripe mistakenly thinks his kits are dead. Cinderpaw's distress over Silverstream's death occurs after the announcement, not before. They remove chapter 25, where Cloudpaw meets Princess for the first time. They add 2 pages of Cloudpaw talking to Fireheart. They remove chapter 26, where Cinderpaw undergoes her official medicine cat ceremony. The graphic novel adds a silly panel where Tiger Claw pretends to hurt one of the invaders. They remove the scene where Fireheart sends Sandstorm to help apprehend Tiger Claw, and the following scene where he's given medical aid. They remove chapter 29, where Yellowfang kills Broken Tail. As a result, it is far more of a surprise at the end of the graphic novel, where she confesses to the murder. Part 2 ends with Fireheart being made clan deputy. Book 3 continues for 1 more chapter after this scene. River Clan sends a delegation to ask for Silverstream's kits. In the book, they send 2 delegations, one in chapter 26 and the other in chapter 31. We finally move on to book 4. At this point, the graphic novel stops jumping around. It switches to cutting out huge chunks of the story. They remove the prologue and the first 3 chapters. They remove chapters 7 and 8. The scene of Cloudpaw visiting human territory is a combination of 2 separate chapters in the book. Humans are not seen in the graphic novel. In the book, they let Cloudpaw in the house, and they capture him in a trap. Princess arrives. She lets Cloudpaw out of the trap. In the book, the humans take Cloudpaw away, and he does not return for another 10 chapters. None of that is in the graphic novel. They completely remove chapters 12 through 22, jumping straight to the big fire as a finale. The graphic novel ends when Blue Star declares war against Star Clan. The book continues for 2 chapters after that. So those are the various changes I noticed between the graphic novel and the original books. It looks like they attempted to do book 3 in order at first, but they had to keep interrupting it with book 2 Cinderpaw story, book 2 Cloudpaw story, and book 2 Broken Tail story. They probably shouldn't have left all that important stuff out of the first graphic novel. Then they jump randomly through different chapters of book 3. At least a third of the chapters are left out entirely. Then we get book 4, where 2/3 of the chapters are left out in giant chunks. So there definitely are a lot of changes, even if the major storylines remain intact.